This is part 4 of the 5-part video series on how to teach your child chess, also applicable to adults and any chess learner. This one is not really super required. It's basically you want to start to transition students from bishops and rooks, pawn wars, and knight battleship, the previous 3 videos. That can take a semester. That can take weeks, months for students who are, in 2nd grade or whatever. They can just do that for a while. But at some point you do want to teach, actual chess, and kids are always eager to play a full game once you start limiting their mini games. You limiting them to mini games, then they're saying, why can't I play a normal game? And so to teach and introduce a normal game of chess, it's really hard. It gets this idea of explaining things and not having them play a lot, but just demonstrating a lot. And then the best way is to start with checkmate. So the object of the game is to trap the king. So first, I guess we haven't introduced kings and queens. So queens are a combination of the bishop and the rook, right? They can go up, down, side to side. Oops, not there. You cannot go there. No. You go up, down, side to side, up, down, side to side. And an X-Men is diagonal. Queen is the most powerful piece. She can go as far as she wants. You do not hop over your pieces. You end. If I have a piece here, I can't actually go there. I can only go up to here. I can capture my opponent's piece here, but that means that I would have to stop there. Cool, so that's the queen. And then the king is the same thing as the queen, except he only goes 1 square at a time. And if he's trapped and attacked, game over. So here's a question. Is this a checkmate? If it's black's turn, well, white has played something like queen to here. Or that was not right. Well, there you go. The queen went here. So is this or is this not checkmate? Yes, it is, because the queen attacks here, it attacks here, it attacks here, it attacks here, it attacks here, and the rook attacks here. So all the squares that this king could go to are attacked by white, and white will take the king wherever. So that is yes, checkmate. So starting with these yes-no questions and scenarios is really good. You can showcase things like back rank mate. Say, hey, is this checkmate? Yes or no. Look at that, it's a smothered mate. Is this checkmate, yes or no? Well, the knight's attacking the king. Can he move anywhere? No, he's stuck. But this bishop takes the knight. Oh no, it's pinned by the rook. So you start to see these dynamics, just set up different little positions, and that's how I would start introducing a full game, by just teaching checkmate. So this whole video is about teaching checkmate. There's simple puzzles you can do, like find the move. So let's just set up an example here. If I have maybe we can do it. This is interesting. So it's white to move in this position, and you can add in a bunch of extra pieces if you'd like. Doesn't really matter. The dynamics here are white to move and win, and the answer is knight to h6 is a checkmate. This piece cannot, you say, can this piece be taken? Is the king under attack? Can it move anywhere? So you can set up puzzles like that. And then before going to the full game, I would recommend, or at some point, you can have them play a game and then come back to the basics at some point if they really want to play. But do this king versus king exercise where one side has the rooks, and figure out how to checkmate here. There's this nice staircase technique where you use the rooks to occupy two full rows of the board. So eventually you get to something like this where you check the king, he comes down, oh no, he's attacking this rook. And you might come and try to attack that rook, so you move it over here, and then it's too far away, and then that's a checkmate. So you want to teach like these rook checkmates, and maybe have the queen and king versus king checkmate. How do you do this? If you can actually, well, let's say something like this. The fast, awesome way, and you don't have to don't teach them this. Just say, hey, try to checkmate. Let them move around and futz with it, and eventually you can introduce the 50 move rule, which is if there are 50 moves made, or 50 moves made without a piece capture or a pawn move, or significant progress in the position or something. There's some funky rules, but basically if 50 moves happen and you're not checkmating your opponent in this position, then it's a draw. So you want to be able to do it at some point, but let kids, make 100 moves, have them do a full day of trying to struggle with this, and then you can eventually teach them from the ground up. Well, take the pieces in your hands and set up a checkmate. And they might eventually find something like this. Or you could say, hey, where should the white king go? Does he have the least squares? Oh, he's the least squares in the corner. Oh, what do we need? Maybe the queen can just take everything. We need to defend the queen. Okay. And you set up this kind of thing and say, okay, how do you get there? Well, you can basically teach the rook and king checkmate, but the queen, I don't know why I want to show you this, but there's a technique where you move the queen somewhere that's like a knight's move away from the king. And this is very efficient. So if I go here, say my king's actually over here. Okay. So the queen goes here, it's a knight move away from the king. The king has to go somewhere, right? He can't go down, he can't go over here, he can't go. So he has to go somewhere up in here. Or I guess these two squares and this one. And basically you just want to follow the king in that same knight pattern forever until you get the king to go to like the side of the board, at which point you cut off that side of the board. And then you just bring your king up and checkmate him. Cool. So this is part 4 video on checkmate. This is the only real remaining step to getting someone to play a full game with confidence. If they've already really mastered the other 3 games of Pawn Wars, Knight Battleship, and Rooks and Bishops, you can really see that when they play a full game for the first time with that kind of knowledge of, oh, I have to watch out where my opponent's pieces are attacking. It's still not going to be a beautiful game that they're going to play. They're going to do Scholar's Mate, and they might not, I don't know, they just do fun kid things. But once they have the checkmate in place, you really have the fundamental building blocks to play a game of chess with them and have them, they've already iterated enough on previous minigames that they have the capacity to learn when they're playing that full game of chess. They can actually see the whole board, see the pieces, how they interact, and start to integrate more comprehensive strategies that normally you have to kind of reteach these basics over and over. But if you just start with the 3 mini games and then checkmate, their pattern recognition will be quite good. And it'll actually be a lot more fun for them to play a full game of chess with those fundamentals in place. And they'll be really ready. Some kids don't want that challenge of novelty and they want to stick with the easy games. And maybe some kids really like puzzles. They like solving puzzles, or they'll say, hey, can I make a puzzle? That's great. They're engaged. So we'll move on to the last video of a full game and progressive chess, zombie chess, some variants on how to make a full game a little more fun or instructive. Cool.